Gosh, I guess everybody expects us to have a meeting or something. Gotten awfully quiet. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Mr. Castier, will you call the roll, please?
Yes. Mr. Beckman?
Here.
Mr. Gunther?
Here.
Mr. Korenik?
Here.
Mrs. Webb?
Here.
Mr. Young?
Present. Would everyone please stand to join the board in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.
Mr. Raymer, I think you're going to go up first tonight. We've got a special treat for everyone tonight. Yeah, sounds like-
Oh, that's good. Jake,
Hey, how you
weird
doing?
to see you here.
Long time no see.
No, long
Great
time
to
no
see you.
see. Welcome. So I brought an ensemble. The main reason I wanted to do this, of course, I always like to show off our students at Ross, but to also show our board and our community that we're more than just a marching band. You know, marching band is a huge part of Ross. It's always been. We're very successful with that. But one of the main reasons is because of what we do in the winter time. And this time, the spring semester, the second semester. You know, we do a lot more advanced music this time of year. We are participants in solo and ensemble contests as well as honor band. Some of these guys are in both. We're in both. This year, honor band with the middle school and the high school combined, we had over 30 kids, which is a record number for us, and very, very selective. OMEA does this by district, and we're in District 13. It's one of the most selective in the whole state. So we're very happy to get that many folks in there, both middle school and high school. Solo and ensemble, we were the biggest represented school this year at solo and ensemble contest. So it went down a lot, as a lot of things did during COVID, and it's really been one of my personal goals to bring it back. And I'm glad that we did. This year we had, again, just the high school alone, over 30 students. This is one of our ensembles that I'm going to have play for you here in a minute. All of our ensembles this year received the top rating, which is called Superior. We had solos also that received some superior, some excellent ratings. All did well. A lot of our students are involved in outside of school orchestras and bands. A lot of these guys are part of the show choir band. Who is that? A lot of these guys are in the Butler Philharmonic Youth Orchestra. Who is that? A couple of these guys and more in the regular band. But certainly appreciate the board's support of the arts here at Ross, especially our fine arts and instrumental music. And I want to share them with you. So this is the Ross Brass Ensemble Sextet, which features Braden Mead, Brian Butterfield, Anthony Kraby, Ethan Kimball, Brian Pence, and Garrett Burton. This song is called March Romaine. And again, thanks for having us. Right? Here we go.
Well done. Thank you, Mr. Raymer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on with the agenda. Dr. Rice, would you like to review the agenda for us, please?
Certainly, pretty straightforward board meeting tonight. After we review the agenda and approve the minutes, we'll have a Butler Tech report from Mr. Kleinfelder. Presentations tonight are continuing our high school spotlight with the biomed program, and then we will have the riveting three-year forecast, no longer 5-year, 3-year February forecast with Mr. Cassader. Items for board discussion this evening, just a couple of pieces of policy to get us caught up, and then one resolution, which is the OHSSA Board of Education Governing Board resolution, which we have to do every year just to allow us to play interscholastic sports in the state. And then after we get through our committee reports, superintendent's reports and recommendation, we'll have personnel, policy approval, the large section that were read last month. Then we will vote on that resolution for membership in the Ohio High School Athletic Association, indoor track request, another resolution that we need to pass each year when we have athletes that want to participate in the indoor track season, and then an overnight field trip. And then we'll turn it over to Mr. Castaner.
Thank you. Have 6 items tonight, in addition to our standard monthly reports that we approve every month. 3 items of note. There's an ELDA playground proposal, which is preschool playground equipment to be installed at ELDA Elementary to accommodate the moving of the preschool from Morgan to ELDA. We also have a tile replacement project at the middle school. It's going to replace tile in a handful of classrooms, I think 4 classrooms total. Both of those are from PI funds and not from our general fund. And then lastly is just approval of the February forecast. I'm going to present the forecast tonight and then ask you to approve that as we have to submit it to the state by February 28th.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Yes. Mr. Gunther?
Yes.
Mr. Beckman?
Yes.
Mrs. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Korenik?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes. Okay, moving on to the minutes. We have the minutes there of the January 29th board meeting. The board members have already had a chance to review the minutes. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
And a second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, call the roll, please.
Mr. Beckman?
Yes.
Mrs. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Korenik?
Yes.
Mr. Gunther?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes. Okay, thank you. Time for our Butler Tech report. Mr. Kleinfelder?
There you
There.
go.
All right, Butler Tech had their regular meeting on Tuesday, the 17th. Kind of a standard meeting. A couple people that missed the organizational meeting in January were sworn in. Dr. Sprankles gave, with 7 of 11 new board members to the thing, he gave a report on how the committees work and what our board committees are, and kind of trying to do some onboarding with all of the new folks. They are posting 20 jobs at Butler Tech for adding positions here, coming up to accommodate all of the new programs at the biomedical building. We got the airport in Middletown, that site, and the AM Hub. So they need some math, science, English teachers at different spots around to fill some of those spots. This week, they had over 1,500 applicants for about 1,100 spots. In their lottery drawing. They're going to be notified sometime this week of the first round of who gets in, and then they're going to probably wait list another couple hundred people to see if anybody doesn't like the choice that they got selected for, and kind of balance that out. It's probably a good problem in that they have more applicants than they have spots, but I'm not a big fan of the lottery system. I think they need to do something else with it, but until they start getting a lot of complaints from parents and constituents, I don't think that's going to change. And I can't imagine in trying to go back to the old way where they interviewed every single candidate. 1,500 interviews would take a little while to get through, but it's
And
the
we wouldn't
system
want
we're
to do
stuck
what's in the
with.
best interest of kids, would we?
Right, right. They are also, as part of that, Dr. Sprankles did some highlights of each of the district's accomplishments and achievements of the past month. The Ross highlights were we had 57 HOSAS state qualifiers. That's 3 times more than they've ever had. And then I don't have a number, but we had the most ever DECA qualifiers for the CTSO contest at the state level. So we got a lot of kids that are going to get to go to Columbus and spend a couple nights continuing their competition. Hopefully some of them will make nationals. Workforce Services is going to have a fundraiser on March 19th from 3 to 6 at Lori's Roadhouse. That's Dunk and Donate. Coincides with the NCAA's tournament start. They make about $40,000 a year on that. They use the money to help students that can't afford to buy their tool packages and things like that for the different programs. Those kids have a lot of money invested, and the ones that can't, they try to help supplement that. Coming up events, we got aviation ribbon cutting on the 16th at 10 a.m. That's at Middletown Airport. And then the second half of the meeting was Paul Carpenter's treasurer giving their 3-year forecast. It used to be the 5-year forecast. I wish we were in a local school district funded the same way Butler Tech is. They are operating on a 1.75 mil levy that was passed in 1975. And their revenue for next school year is going to be $79,975,000. Their expenditures are $78 million and some change. So they're in a positive cash flow of about $1.6 million every year. And then they have a current cash balance of $21 million. That is not including the Red Tree Investments, PI, or what Adult Ed brings in. Adult Ed program they were looking at canceling about 10 years ago because it was losing so much money. It's been turned around. Now it's a positive cash flow. There's people that are taking evening EMS and HVAC and stuff. They're generating about another $2 million in revenue from those programs where before they were losing money. And last year, they did about $35 million in construction projects, $15 million of which came from Butler Tech money. No bonds, no loans, all cash. And then the rest of it was either federal grants or capital grants that they got from the county commissioners or the Ohio legislature or just straight federal grants. So that's why they've opened up 3 additions and new campuses. So if we were funded that way, we would not have a thing to worry about. But write your legislators, and I don't know what you can do about it, but it's a whole, that's the one part of being on this board that kind of makes me sick when I think about the other districts that are struggling. And you hear that, and then every week there, every month, they got a lot of money. And then the last thing is April 29th, the Ross student, I can't think of his name now, culinary guy.
Yeah.
He is going to have the Cafe Lead menu and lunch. That's every Wednesday and Thursday. So try and make it out for that one, support the Ross guy. He'll be doing American cuisine. So, and that's all I have for the Butler Tech report.
All right.
Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Time for some presentations.
Yeah, I'd like to introduce the high school principal, Mr. Brian Martin, to introduce his team.
Good evening, everyone. I'm not going to talk. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Strang. Just a little brief introduction about the biomedical program. This is our first year with the biomedical program here at Ross High School. It is a Butler Tech program that we have in-house here at the high school, and we fought for many years in order to get that, and we're finally able to convince Butler Tech to invest in our kids here and give us this program, which we're very happy about. Brian Strang, who's leading the program, who's going to talk to you here in just a second, was a Ross teacher with us for several years, a member of our science department, and we were able to work it out so Brian could continue. He's now technically a
been able to do here. So starting off, we're going to have Victoria Studenka and Maya Johnson come up, and they're going to walk you through the first course in this 4-course program that we have. Ross definitely had a large need. We have a lot of students who are really interested in the healthcare professions, so it's great that we get to keep them here in-house and provide them with this opportunity. So Victoria Studenka and Maya Johnson are lead investigators on a crime that they walked into in my classroom. And you guys, for the next 5 minutes or so, are going to be the commissioners who are going to update on their progress. Okay. I need to sit down.
So I'm Maya. I'm Victoria. We are students in the Principles of Biomedical Science class here. On the first day of class this semester, we walked into a crime scene, and essentially we've been evaluating it and keeping evidence. So we're here to present that to you as you guys are commissioners. So our victim, her name is Anna Garcia. We were able to determine a bunch of facts about her. She's 20 years old, 5 feet 6 inches, and an undergrad student. Here's a photo of the scene. From this, we were able to get markers, evaluate all the different evidence, and mark that. After this, we were able to find our persons of interest. These are people that have a relationship with Anna Garcia, with some characteristics of them and their relationship with her. So we tried to figure out some deeper evidence on our people. So we ran some polygraph tests, which is basically stuff you wrap around your stomach and just ask them questions if they're telling the truth or not. And during that, just ask them questions about the crime scene and see who was we found hair at the crime scene also, so we took a deeper look at that. We were able to narrow down to 3 people, Demique, Eric, and Anna, which you can see on the side, and we were able to figure out that the hair belonged to Eric based on the medulla we found. So another factor that we analyzed was fingerprints. So we learned about the different patterns you can find in fingerprints, like hooks, ridges, and ridges. We were able to look at these in our own fingerprints, then move on to the fingerprints found at the crime scene and compare them for different people of interest. And you can see on the left we have the different fingerprint marks and the spots we found that match. Also, we were able to look down on the digital evidence side of it and able to look at her text messages, her stories, and the pictures. And those are basically what we see on the screen right now. And with that evidence, we're able to make a timeline and basically write down the key points that we found, like when the murder happened and what time did this happen. So the next 2 tests we did were blood tests. We first started with a presumptive test, which is basically determining whether or not something is or not blood. So you can see on the left we have the positive and negative control. The positive control is confirmed to be blood, while the negative is not. We were able to do a chemical reaction with the samples found at the scene, and we were able to determine that they're both blood. The next blood test we did is blood typing, which is a confirmatory test, which basically shows the different characteristics of blood. So we got the different controls of different blood types, and then the different bloods found at the scene. We'll compare them to all of our persons of interest, which left us with finding that blood type matched 3 people. The final test we did was blood splatter. We essentially dropped the blood from various heights using a ruler, and we were able to establish a trend line with all of our data. Then we were able to go to the scene, measure the different blood drops, and we were able to basically determine what height the blood was dropped at, which helps us know what happened. Now, we were able to do a different test, the DNA evidence, which was just like put all the blood samples that we found, and we were able to run a test to figure out the one on the table, the floor, and then the one from our 3 test facts. As you can see on the screen, that we were able to figure out that the blood on the table and the floor was equal to Anna Garcia's blood. And then our current theory right now is that at first we all thought that it was just a murder, but as we took a deeper look at the evidence and everything, we were able to figure out that it wasn't a murder, but a soccer injury that actually occurred with a teammate, and that it had deeper brain damage, and she unfortunately died. Now,
we're doing right now. But we're just trying to figure out important information on key things on like with the forward teammate for soccer. Her name was Sam Green, and you can see on the pictures down below that she was basically blaming Anna, and that's how she got her injury on her head. And she was having troubles with Eric, her boyfriend, and you can tell that she was not happy with him and left him on the liver for a long time.
So these are the different skills we've learned. We learned how to conduct a brief case, or case brief. We determined how to find different psychological responses during polygraph tests and how to efficiently perform those tests. We found out how to analyze hair, fingerprints, and digital evidence to create a timeline. We were able to perform presumptive and confirmatory blood tests. We learned how to micropipette efficiently, conduct a gel electrophoresis, and how to analyze that DNA. And currently we're doing autopsies and much more in the future. That's it. Thanks for listening, guys.
So has this process sparked an interest in the two of you in moving forward maybe with this in the future as a career? Or?
It definitely did with me. It really sparked when we had those forensic scientists come in and showed us what they have done with the different crime scenes. And personally, when I grow up, I want to be a blood trainer, but I know there's different courses I can take instead of that. And learning so far, that's definitely in my mind.
For me, when I first started this course, I was like, it might just be a fun course. But definitely, like, I never had any interest in biomedical science, but this is, like, 100% sparked a big interest in that. I really enjoy all the labs we do. They're really easy and fun for me to understand.
Good. Outstanding. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Did a great job.
So a big part of that course is taking in evidence and learning how to evaluate it. And then that leads us into our next course where they learn about the human body. And then this is going to lead us up to Reagan McConnell and Faith McAlpin, who are taking principles, and now they're in the next course in the sequence, human bodies. So Reagan's going to give part of her speech that she's competing with Fosa.
Okay. So my competition was fair speaking, and my theme was Champions of Change, 50 years of poster, future health professionals. And my speech is a couple words can change someone's life. You have a spinal cord injury. Those were the words spoken to someone very close to me. In a single moment, the future they had planned disappeared. The body they trusted no longer moved the way it once had, and nothing about life felt certain anymore. Before the injury, they were involved in numerous activities, including football and track. They were always moving forward physically and mentally. Then one ordinary day became the most defining day of their life. An accident resulted in a spinal cord injury that changed everything. This year's HOSA theme, Champions of Change, 50 years of HOSA future health professionals, is not just about progress in medicine. It is about people. People whose lives are reshaped and the professionals who step in when hopes go out of reach. At first, the injury felt like a loss of identity. Simple tasks like sitting up, standing, even holding objects became exhausting challenges. But the physical pain was only part of it. There was fear, frustration, and grief, and the painful question no one prepared you for, who am I now? In those early days, they felt invisible, as if the world had moved on while they were stuck in place. But champions of change appeared. The first were emergency responders and trauma physicians who acted quickly and skillfully, knowing that seconds mattered. Their training protected what function remained. Their decisions shaped the rest of their life. That moment alone reflects the responsibility health professionals carry every day. Then came the rehabilitation team nurses, physical therapists, occupational therapists, and the physicians who did something just as important as treating the injury. They treated the person. They celebrated small victories like the first independent transfer, the first successful therapy session, the first moment of confidence returning. When they felt defeated, they didn't see limitations, they saw potential. One provider said something that still stays with us. Your injury may change how you move, but it does not change your worth. That sentence mattered. Through rehabilitation, they were introduced to assistive technology and adaptive medicine innovations that exist because healthcare professionals refuse to accept impossible. Exoskeletons, mobility devices, and specialized therapy are the results of research, advocacy, and compassion working together. These advances are not accidents. They are created by champions of change. Over time, they learned to reclaim independence, not the same independence as before, but a new one, stronger and more intentional. Watching this transformation change me, it made me realize that healthcare is not just about fixing bodies, it is about restoring dignity, purpose, and hope. That realization is why HOSA exists. For 50 years, HOSA has prepared students to lead with knowledge, empathy, and courage. Spinal cord injuries do not just affect mobility, they affect mental health, families, careers, and dreams. Champions of change are the professionals who recognize that healing does not end when the hospitals say that. Today, they continue to face challenges, but they also continue to inspire. Their strength, determination, and resilience remind me why future health professionals matter. That's the end of my speech. And then HOSA helps me prepare like leadership skills, public speaking, and it also helped me pinpoint what I liked and didn't like within the medical field to help me choose my major. It's something I didn't know at the start of my senior year, so it definitely helped me choose what I want to do for the rest of my life.
And what is that?
I'm hopefully dental hygiene.
Okay, great. They've got an opening down at the dentist in Ross, I know, because I was just there and they're like, well, we're not gonna be able to see you again for 8 months because we can't find a dental hygienist.
Hi, I'm Paige McAlpin. I took the Principles of Biomedical Science class last semester, and this semester we are both in the Human Body Systems class. And they talked about the first unit, which focuses mostly on forensic science, whereas the next unit focuses more on clinical science and healthcare. In the second unit, we talked about clinics and healthcare, and we just kind of acted like we were healthcare professionals, focused on learning empathy and how to treat patients and learn about the different types of diseases and how to do tests that help develop the diagnosis. And then in the third unit, we kind of dug deeper into the different pathogens that cause diseases and viruses and bacteria and just all those types of things. And I can say, being winter, where all the time that everybody gets sick, learning about the different diseases and how to prevent them, so that really helped me not get sick. And then transitioning into the human body class, we kind of went off of the more clinic and healthcare side and focused more on the human body systems and just the human body physiology as a whole. And one thing I really like about this course is that it's a more generalized version and kind of, I guess, easier and simplified version of the CCP anatomy class offered here, which is really fun for me and a lot of other students because the other course is really, it's just a big commitment that a lot of people like myself find it or would find it hard to, I guess, accept. So this way I can still learn and help my future, but it's easier, and I think I haven't taken the other class, but it's in a fun way that we do a lot of hands-on stuff and that kind of thing. So starting out this class, we got assigned a big patient with a condition that we had to develop and learn the different body systems and skeleton and bones and muscles affected. My group got assigned an older woman with a degenerative disc disease, I believe, if I remember right. And then with this, we learned about the different types of bones and the different locations, different types of bone marrows, and we've used these new microscopes to look at the different types of bone marrow, spongy, skeletal, and cardiac, if I remember right. And then we also learned about the different types of muscles, and we use these mannequins to kind of use clay to help us get a better understanding, and it really helped me remember the names and exact locations. And if you give me a skeleton, I guarantee you I can probably name most of the bones, hopefully. So we've learned more about the human body, and we haven't gotten to the other units yet, but if I remember right from looking at the Project Lead the Way website, which is a program we use to help fill out the notes and notebook packets that kind of help us know the information to kind of do all these experiments and tests and stuff. We focus more on the other body systems. I think we're doing the cardiac system next. I don't know for sure. But yeah, it's a lot of hands-on experiments that I find really interesting. And kind of like writing here, I did not know what I wanted to do for my career after high school, which is kind of important since I'm a senior. And doing this class and the last class made me realize that I like biomedical engineering. And at first I thought I wanted to do forensics, but now I think I definitely want to go into something medical. And I'm really happy that this class is offered here because it's probably my favorite class I've taken at Ross, and it's really fun and it's really helped me kind of just develop what I want to do with my future.
Great.
Thank you.
So what are some top tips to help us keep from getting ill?
Well, it depends on the type of disease, or I should stop saying disease, illness or pathogen, but definitely hygiene and cleanliness. Like, please wash your hands and stay clean. That is like probably my top one. And go to a doctor. Don't just brush something off. Definitely go to a doctor. And I would say take vitamins or just other things to boost your immune system. And stay away from sick people. That's another thing. Don't share drinks either. That's a big one.
Don't what?
Share drinks.
Oh, share drinks, yeah. Okay, thank you, ladies. Wonderful job,
Very
thank you.
good.
So we've had a very successful year with HOSA. It's our Health Occupation Student Association. We've had largest group we've ever had. Over 70 people competed at our regionals at Scarlet Oaks. And we've had 56 of our 70 made it to state. So they'll be
Wow.
in April going to Toledo. We had 22 of our competitors get first place in their category. So there's a wide range of different competitions you can do. So Megan Rudolph and I are the advisors. And so looking forward to seeing this program continue to grow. And then we've got 2 more classes coming next year. We've got medical interventions. We're really diving into learning how to prevention, diagnosis, and treatment of diseases. And then the last one is going to be the capstone, where the students identify a medical need and then use the knowledge from previous courses to come up with their own solution. So it's very much an open-ended, student-driven type of course. So
Great,
glad to have this program at Ross, and thanks for having us today.
thank you, Mr. Strang.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Got to take care of us aging baby boomers.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Martin, thank you.
Absolutely, thanks for having me. Well, my presentation is not nearly as fun as that, but we're gonna do something here to present the
New February financial forecast. So traditionally speaking, we have done financial forecasts in November and May. The governor's budget this past year changed the timeline for that to August and now February. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the challenges that come along with having to do a forecast in February. So just as a quick reminder, the purpose of the forecast, which is now a 3-year, used to be 5-year, I'm going to present a 5-year tonight because I think it gives a more full picture of what's actually happening from a funding standpoint. In addition to the forecast tonight, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about what's happening to public school funding across the state of Ohio. That's probably the bigger story right now in February versus the numbers that are actually on the screen that we have access to as we stand here on February 19th. So as a reminder, the forecast provides a current year budget and 3 years of projections. You're going to see 4 years of projections on mine. It is a long-range planning and management tool, and it does cover just our general funds. So we do have other funds like our permanent improvement fund we use for facilities, our bond retirement fund that we use to pay off the debt for the high school. This forecast does not address those 2 funds. It's strictly just our general fund. Very important, the bolded there in the middle, it is just a snapshot report based on assumptions as we know them today. So I think I've started every forecast the same way. The only thing I can guarantee you about this forecast is that it's wrong and that the information in here today will change tomorrow. And that is happening probably at a faster pace than any time in recent history with the things that are coming down from the state level that we'll talk about. It is a legal requirement. We'll submit an approved 3-year forecast in August and February. So after we present this tonight, we'll ask for your approval, and then I will file it with the state next week. And again, the timing of the forecast being in February, there are a couple challenges with that. The biggest one being we still, at this point, don't have our spring property tax settlement. So to try to project how much we're going to receive in property taxes for the rest of this year and certainly into next year is a challenge when we haven't received our settlement. Typically, when we've approved a forecast in May, we've already received our spring settlement, and we know that those numbers are dialed in and exactly what we actually receive. So what I'm going to do is present the forecast tonight, and then we will do an updated forecast in May once we have more accurate information from our property tax appraisal. So this is my analogy. The current state of public school funding in Ohio is like we are experiencing a Category 5 hurricane. And I'll explain what that means a little bit more. So typically in a hurricane, you've got the front wall of the storm, and then there's the eye in the middle where you get a little bit of a reprieve, and then you get hammered by the backside of the storm. And so the two things that have happened in public school funding in the last 9 months to a year that to me mimic what's happening with the hurricane, the front wall of the storm happened in July when the governor's budget for fiscal year 26, which is this year, and fiscal 27 next year, did not continue to fund or implement the Fair School Funding Plan. We have been told for years that they were going to phase in the Fair School Funding Plan over a 6-year period of time. They followed through with that for the first 4 years. They did not continue that for the final 2 years on the phase-in. So there were a lot of school districts, I know you've seen in the news, and we'll talk about some of the articles that have been out there, that are announcing cuts to their budget because of the loss of state funding due to the fact that the budget did not implement the Fair School Funding formula for the additional 2 years. As a guaranteed district, Ross we were a little bit spared by that. So we're still projecting our state funding to be flat. We did not experience a massive hit like some other local districts did around us. So for the time being, our state funding is going to remain flat. Now, the backside of the storm, different story for us. So in December of 2025, Governor DeWine signed 4 new property tax proposals into law that impacts all public schools' ability to receive growth on their property taxes moving forward. These things are some of the most significant legislation that's happened in the state of Ohio in the last 50 years, and they are hitting school districts hard. Chris Moore, who runs K-12, that helps us with our forecast, his analogy was, when it comes to these property tax laws, there's 20% of the schools in the state that aren't being affected at all. And those are districts that aren't on the 20 mil floor. They're not used to receiving increases with valuation increases as valuation increases anyway. 40% of districts are being hurt. We are in that bucket. We are being hurt by these laws. And the other 40% of school districts are being absolutely decimated by these new laws. So he believes by the time these forecasts for February are filed, you could see well over 100 districts that are in fiscal precaution with the state, which is more than any time in history. So the new property tax laws, it's twofold. And I want to make sure we're clear about this. Especially House Bill 186, which we'll talk about in a second. So it does two things. One, it limits the amount of revenue you can receive moving forward. Every 3 years, Butler County or the state of Ohio does a property reevaluation where they update the values, right? We talked about in 2023, we saw a huge increase in valuation, a 39% increase, which increased the amount of money we receive from property taxes every single year. That's scheduled to happen again this year in 2026. So what this does, it limits the amount of increase that you can see in those future reappraisals. And the worst part is this clawback provision where it actually looks backwards and takes increases in money that we've already received. So that's the most devastating part. And I'll show you on our forecast how that impacts what we're able to receive in property taxes moving forward.
So,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Question. So, from what I hear, about 80% of the public schools in the state of Ohio are going to be affected by this.
Yep.
Are the other 20% benefiting from the 80% being harmed, or are we just, as a whole, losing money in the public ed?
Yeah, so from the 20% of schools that aren't on the 20 mil floor, they don't normally receive increases in property tax funding anyway. So for us, for us being a 20 mil floor district, like almost 80% of the schools in Ohio are now, we're used to every 3 years getting a bump in our property tax revenue. And now they're going to limit what we can receive in those bumps. And like I said, the clawback provision go backwards and take money they've already given us. So the, yeah.
If I may,
Yeah.
you're saying that the people who weren't on the 20-mil floor are comparatively better off than you who are. Did I understand that correctly?
When it comes to House Bill 186, they are, because they're not, they've never traditionally received those increases in valuation.
So they didn't get the benefit of having.
Correct.
So, but if we had not gone to the 20-mil floor, would we still be in this terrible situation? I mean, a few years ago, we hit that floor.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that happened, but,
What happened?
there we were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ms. Favor.
Yeah.
We'll have a time for public comment. If you wouldn't mind waiting till then.
I would love to.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
No, your question's a good one.
Yeah, it is.
We just-
It is.
If we can just let him finish, and
Yeah.
then we'll allow you to. Okay, thank you.
Sure. So the end result of those two things happening, the changes to the state biennium budget and now the property tax laws that Governor DeWine signed at the end of December, these are the things that you're seeing in the news, right? So Hamilton City Schools announcing $9.6 million in cuts. Again, those came from the state funding cuts that they received word of over the summer. So the interesting thing is they are also on the 20 mil floor. So this does not even include the money that they are now going to lose from the property tax laws. So they're going to have to make additional cuts to balance their budget when the property tax laws are figured in. Fairfield has an earned income tax on the ballot in May. If they're unsuccessful with that, I think 2 times in May and November, this is going to look like child's play compared to what they are going to be forced to do. And they're talking upwards of $18 to $20 million worth of cuts if they fail their earned income tax in May and in November. And again, this was an article on Local 12, Ohio property tax reform sparked concern from local school leaders. I think, it's statewide. And this article kind of tells you the same thing. These are school districts in Northeast Ohio, Elyria, Amherst, and Lorain, all making massive cuts, $9 million, $8 million, $18 million. So again, we are not alone in this situation. There's districts like Hamilton and Fairfield that are going through this. They're kind of the first ones through the wall. But we are now, we're not far behind them. So how do these bills impact Ross Local School District specifically? The 3 I'm going to focus on are House Bill 186, 335, and 96. 186 is the biggest hit for us, and that is the limitation of growth evaluation moving forward and the clawback provision. So the net loss for us starting next year in FY27 is $1.2 million, and I'll show you on the sheet how we came up with those dollar figures. And then the projection is we could lose an additional $2 million in the years following that. The other reason the February forecast timing is challenging is that these laws were just signed into law at the end of December. So the legislature goes on break, the holidays that come back. So we're just now getting numbers back from these proposals and how they actually believe they're going to impact the property tax collection. So I would take some of this with a grain of salt when you look at the future years out, which is, again, why we're going to do a May update to the forecast. But as we sit here today, this is what we believe how the law is going to impact us, that we're going to lose $1.2 million in property tax next year and could lose potentially $2 million or more in the years following out. House Bill 96, this is the what they call the piggyback exemption, which is the homestead and owner-occupied credit. Butler County was one of 7 or 8 counties in the state of Ohio out of 88 that chose to opt in on the piggyback exemption. So that is going to cost us over about $404,000 over the next 2 years, $200,000 this year, $200,000 next year. And House Bill 335, the last one, that impacts our inside millage. We do have a couple mills of inside millage left, and that growth will now be limited based on House Bill 335 and what they're going to allow you to receive as the reevaluations happen. a little fun with AI on this one. But so just a reminder, so we have done a tremendous job in this district of finding cost-saving measures over the last several years. Obviously, we went through a really bad financial situation. We came out of it with the reevaluation in 2023, but we've continued to always look for ways to be as efficient as possible and make sure we're utilizing our resources the best way we can. Some of those things, closing of RIS. So when you see the forecast tonight, this includes the savings that we're expecting to realize with the closing of RIS. Health insurance plan change. So we changed health insurance providers in fiscal 23. We've been on a 3-year rate lock where our premiums have not increased for 3 years. Butler Health Plan, which was our previous healthcare provider, their premiums have gone up 35% plus during that same period of time. So again, those savings are realized within the forecast you're going to see. By the start of fiscal 27, we will have reduced 3 administrative positions from FY25 to FY27. Those are positions through attrition that we just did not fill. Our food service supervisor, our technology director, and now obviously the RIS principal position that won't be filled with the closing of the building next year. We've also renegotiated utility contracts and signed new rates for gas and electric, which are substantial savings over the current market rates, in some cases 50% less than what current rates are. So we've done that as well. We're locked in on those rates for a couple years now, which saves us money over the life of the forecast. And then attrition savings. We traditionally don't have this many retirements in a given year. We had a lot last year. A lot of that had to do with the STRS change, backing down the years of service required to retire. I think the day after they announced that, we had 2 or 3 that were on Dr. Rice's desk when they announced it was going back down to 32 years. So when I show you the forecast, I want you to remember that all of these savings are already built in. So this is kind of Bill and I had already chopped down all the trees. I don't know why he's holding the axe, but this is us trying to find additional ways to save money when there really may not be much else out there that we can do at this point. So I'm going to open. Just so you can see the numbers, this is the revenue side of the forecast. And I wanted to point this out with the differences in the property tax loss. So if you look here, you can see that this first line here at the top that's highlighted in yellow says 18.2%. That is the amount of money that we're projecting to receive in property tax for this year. This also gets included in there. That's some revenue from like pipeline dollars and commercial property taxes that we get paid. So you can see that the difference between what we're projecting to receive this year, the 10.2 million, and then next year, the 7.6 million, which is that clawback where they're taking money that they've previously given to us and removing it from our property tax collections. So you can see how that impacts our revenue at the bottom. Instead of, our revenue is actually projected at this point to be less next year than it is this year. Normally we see a modest growth in revenue, but we're actually looking at a decrease for next year. A couple items to note: our earned income tax, which is this line right here, this 6.8 million, that continues to grow for us really well. You can see it's up about 4.3% on average over the course of the years. So we're projecting that to continue to grow at approximately 2 to 3% a year. Our state funding, as I mentioned, is this line right here, 10.5, and then this 424. So you can see we've modeled that relatively flat going out, and I think that's been the story for Ross over a number of years, that state funding continues to remain flat. This is restricted state funding down here, which I'll talk about in a minute, but they are pulling back some of those restricted dollars that we've traditionally received that are specified for certain things. So again, all told, our revenue, looking at potential revenue in 2029 of 33.5, which is actually less than we received last year. So again, I don't know of any entity that can keep up with expenses that grow over time when your revenue is flat or drops down lower than it was. There's nothing in this world that's going to be cheaper 5 years from now than it is now. Point this out quickly as well. This is the loss of the money that we were talking about within the property taxes. This is fiscal 26. Top here. So you can see the piggyback exemption is built in here, $202,000 this year, $202,000 next year. This is the big one, the House Bill 186, pulling $3.148 million from collections that we previously received. Now, they were nice enough to give us a one-time, what they called a hold harmless payment, which is interesting because in my mind, hold harmless means you'd be made whole, right? Like you lose 3.1, shouldn't we get 3.1? Well, when you look at what they actually are giving us on the hold harmless payment, it's right here, 1.94. So that slide I had that showed a net loss of $1.2 million, that's where that number comes from. They're pulling 3.2, 3.1, giving us back 1.9, so a net loss for us of $1.2 million. The key component also on the hold harmless payment is that is a one-time deal. So that is not something that they're going to, as it sits now, that they're going to continue to give us year over year to negate some of that loss of revenue. So it's a one-time shot in the arm that causes the situation to be a little better, not as bad as it could be, but ultimately it's only a one-time thing. So as we continue to lose property tax dollars over time, that not having that one time, the payments coming in to hold harmless makes it very, very difficult. So this is the net result of the forecast, and I've kind of framed this from what we saw in October 2025 when we approved the last forecast to where we're at now in February 2026. And you can see it's a drastic difference. When you start talking about millions of dollars lost in property tax funding, that makes a huge impact on our budget. So just looking at raw numbers here, in October 2025, we had a slight amount of deficit spending projected to start in fiscal 28 and then continue through fiscal 29 and then to fiscal 30. Those are the red cells reflecting deficit spending. But overall, you can see that our cash balance was positive. So even with the deficit spending we were projecting, we still had a little over $5 million at the end of 5 years on the forecast. Now move down here to this month's with the changes that are happening because of the property tax laws and some of the other things that are happening across the state and within the district. We're now looking at projecting that we are going to be deficit spending next year. So it moves up a year, and then it has a huge impact on our overall cash balance. You can see that as you move forward, that deficit spend just gets bigger and bigger, ultimately where we're projected to be out of cash in 2029. Without a change to the way these laws are written, and in a large deficit in fiscal 30. And the other thing I'll point out about this forecast is that I think you can probably see why the state wants you to present 3 years instead of 5. They don't want people seeing the doom and gloom. They don't want people seeing districts being $5.7 million in the hole 5 years out. So if you just show this year and maybe the next couple, we are positive in cash. But that's not best practice. That's not truly what a forecast should show you if you're not looking the full 5 years out. So that's why we're presenting it this way. The data we submit to the state, they will only accept the 3-year forecast. So when you look at it on the state's website, after it's uploaded, you're only going to see this year plus 3 years. But I'm telling you that this year is important. As you can see, it's a massive deficit projected out that far.
The state only updates those annually, correct? We don't.
Twice a year. Yeah, twice a year.
Do they update the second
They do.
projection as well? Okay.
Well, they'll update it. The February one will go in, and then we'll have to do an official one in August. Yeah, but the May forecast update will just be for our purposes here.
Okay.
So in summary, the factors related to the forecast changes from last fall to now, the 3 House bills I referenced, significant reduction in revenue now into the future. Also, we were able to agree to a new 4-year collective bargaining agreement with the salary schedule redesign. That was a significant initial upfront cost, but there is a long-term benefit for the district there as well, and we will realize that benefit over time as things start matriculating through the salary schedule. What to watch in future years? As I mentioned, 2026 is the last year of the 0% increase rate lock with MMO. We will be out to bid this fall for a new health insurance provider or the same health insurance provider. It just depends on how the bids come back. We have a 9% annual increase built into the forecast, hoping that we come in less than that when it's all said and done. Dr. Rice and I twice a year meet with Medical Mutual of Ohio. They review our claims data with us so we can kind of see where we're trending and how that might impact what rates we're going to receive when we actually go out to bid. Continued reduction of restricted state funding for required services such as gifted and special education. And this is an important one, and I think you saw it on the actual forecast document there. That restricted funding is going down as we move out. So just as a couple examples, our gifted funding, last year we received about $140,000 from the state in gifted funding. That dropped down to $100,000 this year. And we just found out recently, within the last couple of weeks, they're reducing the pool of money available for excess cost for special education. So when we have high-need students that require a lot of care and a lot of expense to educate them on a daily basis, we submit applications to the state to get increased funding for those particular cases, and they are now reducing the pool of money that's available for that supplemental funding. And I believe the reason was they're giving it to some charter school payment thing that they're doing, that they pulled the money from excess cost to provide it to the charter school programs. So the last thing I have, put the theme up here, protect public education. We're at a crossroads right now, and I know that there's a lot of things happening at the state level, and it seems like every public entity is constantly on this roller coaster ride of you have money, you don't have money, you have money, you don't have money, and the hits keep coming from the state level. So to that end, Dr. Rice has worked with Ross Township to schedule a community town hall on Thursday, March 19th. It'll be right after our board meeting. Our board meeting will be at 5. We will host this at 6 o'clock, and we have a good group of folks coming. So Senator George Lang, Representatives Hall, Mullins, and Gross, and then Butler County Auditor Nancy Nix and the Treasurer Mike McNamara will both be there. So I think we're at a time where anyone who cares about public schools and public services, this is a time where you need to be activated and engaged to try to advocate for those things, because this is, again, and I've said it a couple of times, it's not just Ross. This is statewide. And this is every district around us. Every public entity is going to be affected by those things that are happening. And I didn't mention, the potential referendum item to remove property taxes completely, which I know everyone has heard about. So we got to obviously keep an eye on that as well. That would change the course of history, I feel like, if that happens for all public entities. That's it.
I'd say thank you, Mr. Castayer, but I don't know.
Nothing but good news.
No.
Not good news.
It's a thorough accounting of what's going on, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So are you going to be presenting on March 19th?
Dr. Rice and I will.
We'll
yeah.
each entity, so Morgan Township,
Right.
Ross Township, and then ourselves, will each have like a spokesperson that will read an opening statement. But then from there, it's truly going to be a town hall. We'll have a couple of microphones where the community can ask questions of these folks that are making these decisions.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
I think I would like to highlight just a couple of things, because the Fair School funding formula, we heard all last year that they were not going to fund it because the tax receipts were coming in lower than what they expected. We don't have the money to fund it. I just want to read and get officially on record so everybody can hear this, where the tax receipts actually ended up coming in. Ohio ended fiscal year 25 with a surplus of $1.3 billion. So personal income tax revenues were 20.9% above estimates, totaling $10.4 billion. So that surplus is in addition to the $3.924 billion that's in the rainy day. So this idea that they can't afford to fund public education is a bold-faced lie. It is a choice that they're making. There are lots of funding shifts that are going out there. Ohio ranks 45th in the funding model for states budgeting in terms of what the state pays for schooling for public ed. 45th in this country. So I think I have personal opinions on each of those representatives and politicians and folks that are going to be there. Steve and I have met with several of them on different occasions. I think there is a concerted effort, and the reason why we saw some of these pieces of legislation that were signed is because there's a little bit of a freak out going out right now in Columbus, because there is no plan if property tax goes away. There is no plan, other than they're just throwing things out there like 20% sales tax and license plate fees of $1,000 and those sorts of things. So I think these like 4 pieces of legislation are trying to throw bones to people to get that off of the ballot so that doesn't pass, because that's doomsday. That's literally everything in local communities is funded through property taxes. So it's scary times, and I encourage the community to come and have the wherewithal to realize that your taxes do pay for things, and it is good for the community when we have good, strong entities in our communities. And we recognize that there has to be some property tax reform. And Steve and I have said over and over again, you know, the GDP indicator is about 9%. If you're telling us the most we can ever gain from property tax increase is 9%, we will live within that means every day that we have. But this idea that we passed a biennial budget, we thought we were okay, and then all of a sudden 4 new pieces of legislation are thrown out there, and it completely flipped our world upside down. It's impossible to plan and budget and run any entity like that. It's absolutely impossible. And it makes us all look like liars then when we go back to our community, because we were set up in a really good place with the decisions that we've been consciously making over the last couple of years. And now all of a sudden, we're going to have to have some tough conversations. So please show up on March 19th.
Thank you very much. And the percent of the state budget that goes towards public schools over the last 20 years has gone down, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, tremendous.
I don't
Absolutely.
remember what the percents are exactly, but
That's before we talk about the $1.6 billion that was shifted from public ed to ed choice scholarships.
right.
They don't want to talk about that.
Yep. Okay, let's move on with items for board discussion.
Yes, thank you. I have two items for board discussion this evening, one being on policy, 2 pieces of policy, actually 1 piece of policy and 1 regulation, DLC and DLCR. They're both expense reimbursements. We talked about these policies before, but as we do often, when things come out of Columbus, we have to redo them because the wording wasn't correct. So these 2 policy changes are just some clearing up of some language issues or items. This involves the ability to use district funds to go on professional developments, how much you're allowed to spend for per diem lunches. We're now actually able to get frequent flyer miles now if we use our personal credit cards to go somewhere. Before that was outlawed. So just little things like that. So no real big issues with DLC or DLCR. Are there any questions about those 2 pieces of policy? And we'll have those pieces in front of you to vote on at the next board meeting. And then the next one is the Board of Education Governing Board resolution for the Athletic Association. This is something that we do yearly, just allows our students to participate at the state level. Any questions with that? And those are all the items I have for board discussion this evening.
Okay. Legislative report.
I had a few things introduced in the past 45 days. Senate Bill 332, it would dissolve the academic distress commissions and require student support teams. I think it's pretty far out. There's another Affirming Families First Act was introduced on February 10th, and it would expand parental rights in matters involving a child's gender identity and limit the authority of schools, child service agencies, licensed professionals to act contrary to a parent's direction. So the bill would prohibit certain gender identity screenings, restrict abuse findings related to non-affirmation of gender identity, and may affect local district policies. It's currently in committee and has not advanced to any floor votes. Senate Bill 326, this was actually introduced in late of 25. Every district must make at least one unit of computer science available to students before they would earn a high school diploma. So that would be everybody getting it. And there's a couple that are actually voucher related that were introduced last month. There was an income cap on Ed Choice vouchers. It was House Bill 643.
What was that income cap?
$500,000.
$500,000.
Yeah, so if you make more than that, then you can't get a voucher.
They did a study on that. That saves the state like $240,000 total. But it's a bipartisan piece of legislation.
The one I thought was a little bit more interesting, which I don't think it's going through, I don't think it's got a whole lot of support, but the Ed Choice program, there's about 300 districts around the state of Ohio who are joining a lawsuit to be against this. So this House bill that was just put through by, I didn't put his name down there. I don't know whose congressman it was, but everybody who is in that lawsuit, they said they were going to restrict state funding to those schools.
Yeah, put it in an escrow account and hold it until you're no longer a part of the lawsuit.
Yep.
Take your constitutional right away. You know, the whole separation of powers. Take that right away. So now we're going to arbitrarily punish you by taking your state funding because you're suing us for something that we're doing that's unconstitutional.
Crazy.
Yep.
So was, one thing that caught my attention was the computer science. Is that a proposal, or has that been enacted?
That is, it's not passed yet.
Seems kind of silly. I
It's
mean,
pending in the Senate Education Committee at this point.
our kids are pretty computer illiterate by the time they get to high school.
Yeah, it's another one of these unfunded mandates. You know, what's it going to be? What certification is going to be allowed to teach it? You know, all those sorts of things. Can you embed
I mean,
it into another
25 years
program?
ago, we were teaching a lot of
Yeah.
computer classes in high school because everything was new. But then, you know, the kids now are coming to high school already very computer illiterate. It seems kind of silly. Okay.
That's all I got.
Okay. Thank you. All right, public comments.
You got one, Steve. Right there.
We generally limit public comment time to 3 to 5 minutes.
I'm not that good. Just a number of my questions were answered by the slides that you put up.
Okay.
And I was wondering, I don't recall seeing those slides in the minutes or something online. Are those slides available? I'd like to study them a little more.
Sure.
Because I just can't absorb all the information all at once. And I think you have a really important story to tell there, and I want to know what it is.
Yeah, we can post the slideshow presentation on, or the PDF of it, so it'll be a document, you can
That-
still see it
yes.
on the website. We
Like
can-
you had your forecast and the slides with all that. I like that. And you talked about the state district reports being 3 years instead of 5.
Current budget year plus 3 years. That's what they're requiring us to submit to the state at this point.
I've tried to look at those online. Have they changed the rules? Who can look at those?
No, if you just go to Ohio Department of Education
Yeah.
Workforce
Okay.
5-year forecast,
I have,
you can search and find any district
I
in the
thought so
state.
too, but nothing seemed to be there when I looked, and perhaps I'll just try it again.
Okay.
I didn't know if something had changed. And to address something just off the cuff that you had talked about, the unfunded requirements. When we have perhaps, Ms. Gross and Mr. Lang here, someone might ask them about those and change the direction there, because we do pretty well without the state telling us how we spend it and on what, and then tell us you're not going to get money for it. And so Mr. Lang and Ms. Gross might want to take that message back. I'm serious.
I agree with you completely. I do think there is a larger strategy that's going on in Columbus right now with public education. I think there is a strong caucus in Columbus right now that does not believe in public education. And many of these decisions are being made with purpose.
And I'm very aware of all of that. I just wanted to see, like, if I went to this meeting, would I have a chance to ask them that
Absolutely.
question?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
I don't
It
know.
is not going to be a scripted meeting. Russ McGurn and I have went back and forth. It's not going to be a scripted meeting. It's truly going to be two mics down by the stage, and you're going to have an opportunity to ask these folks what they're thinking with each of their yes votes on these things.
Now, back to my original question, because I don't really understand. We went on the 20 mil floor, which is just as weird as the 30 mil ceiling. Or maybe it's the other way around. But we did that just a few years ago. How did we end up on that? Can we get back off?
Well,
Or we don't.
you want to be on the 20 mil
wanna be.
floor. Being on the 20 mil
Oh.
floor is a good thing. So it's a good thing because, as Dr. Rice said, we still receive percentage increases in property tax as they do the reevaluations every 3 years in the county. So it's a 3-year cycle. They do an update, and then they do a full reevaluation. So as that happens, if you're not on the 20 mil floor, you don't receive any of those increases. So
I think that I got misled by the idea that people who weren't on the 20 mil floor were somehow better off, but.
No,
Okay.
generally not. It's
It
very
didn't seem to
advantageous
ring
to
true
be
to
on the
me,
20
but
mil
what do
floor.
I know, you know.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
advantageous to be on the 20 mil floor.
And so these things will be, thank you very much. I had all my questions answered.
You're welcome.
If you have any other questions, I'm sure that
absolutely.
Mr.
Reach out.
Castater and Dr. Rice be happy to meet with you anytime. Just give them a call.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, appreciate your interest very much. All right, let's move forward with the superintendent's recommendations.
Yes, sir. Several items for reports and recommendations this evening. We have Personnel A, and I do want to take an opportunity here just to highlight, and we're going to spend some time over the next few months celebrating some of these individuals. But this is the board agenda where we will accept the resignations and or retirements for 3 of our leading principals here in the district. Mrs. Jerry Bolin, who is the principal at RIS, Mr. Tom Perry, the long-serving principal at Morgan Elementary, and Mr. Chris Saylor, who is the long-serving principal at RMS. So we'll spend some time over the next few months recognizing them, but as we're going to act on that this evening, or as I believe we're going to act on that this evening, I did want to highlight them and thank you thank them for their service. There's a Pulse Journal article out there. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to read it. 70 years of administrative experience with those 3. 70 years, 100 years in education. So a wealth of institutional knowledge, and they've been there, done that just about in every aspect. So thank them for their service. So that is under personnel. Item B is policy approval. Those were the policies that were read and discussed at the January board meeting. Item C is the 26-27 membership to the Ohio High School Athletic Association. Item D is indoor track requests. Every year we have I shouldn't say every year, but most years we have a few athletes that will compete. This is just a resolution that the state needs for those athletes to be able to compete underneath our insurance policies. And then the last item is item E, overnight field trip, and that is for Rambotics. It's coming up right about the same time as the next board meeting, so that's why we pushed it through on this one. Any questions on any of those?
Okay, do we have a motion to approve those items?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I would like to say, and I know we're going to recognize the administrators more in the future, but, you know, one of the, I think, ways that you have an excellent school district is longevity in your administrative team. People that are there, they know their personnel, they know the district, the parents, they know how to get it done. And so we've been very fortunate to have really, really outstanding principals in the Ross Local School District. And I think that's really been a key to our success.
Absolutely.
So, okay, call the roll, please.
Yes, Mrs. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Gunther,
Yes.
Mr. Beckman,
Yes.
Mr. Korinik,
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes. Motion passes. Okay, treasurer's reports and recommendations.
Yep, as I mentioned earlier, we have 6 items tonight. One donation, our investment and treasurer's reports, and then the 3 items, the Elda Playground proposal for preschool, the tile replacement at RMS for the classrooms there, and then the approval of the February forecast.
Okay. We have a motion to approve the treasurer's recommendations.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Call the roll, please, Mr. Castater.
Mr. Korenik?
Yes.
Mr. Beckman?
Yes.
Mr. Gunther?
Yes.
Mrs. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes, motion passes. Do we have any reports from the Finance or Facilities Committees this evening?
Steve summarized our finance committee meeting pretty well tonight.
All
so
right,
I don't
I'd
have
say so.
anything to add other than, you look at all those numbers on there, and the numbers almost don't look real.
Right.
And when you dig into it and you see where those numbers are coming from, they start to make a really ugly picture of what's coming up. I mean, the clawback's nice enough to help us for the next year, but
Right.
Even if you take out these couple years of turmoil with all the additions and subtractions, it's still not a good picture any way you cut it. So it's quite terrifying. And I like numbers, but I'm really starting to not like numbers.
Okay. The Facilities meet?
Yeah, facilities, we met a little over a week ago. Again, Steve talked about a couple of the renovations. Obviously, we've got the playground at Elda. We have some room conversions over at the middle school that we have to do some tile for since we're bringing 5th grade back to the middle school next year. We've talked about some of the permanent improvement projects around the district via the Vista company, who is actually helping us facilitate that. That plan is on track, but again, still delayed, outside of our hands, outside of their hands. So we are still waiting for some additional information there. Hopefully more to come on that soon. We did have the Elda Chiller that was updated recently, that services the gym. And then we also had to scale back some plans on the softball, baseball fields for some dugout renovations. Those are being scaled back again, primarily due to cost and just increased material cost as well. So those are going to be scaled back for the coming years.
Okay. Any questions on either of the committee reports? Okay, not hearing any. The board is going to be moving into executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel, in particular the mid-year evaluations of the superintendent and treasurer. And we will adjourn from executive session with no further action to be taken.
Great.